this is Judith Lay saying Moramai, as the island's Christian community is once again at your service.
Manx Radio.
Good morning and welcome to the programme that aims to lift us up whilst we're locked down. And let's start with a nice bright version of a popular hymn, Be Thou My Vision, O Lord of My Heart, sung for us by the chapel choir from our own King William's College, under the musical direction of Mr. Steve Dakin. Be Thou My Vision, O Lord of My Heart, sung by the chapel choir from King William's College, directed by Mr. Steve Dakin. When lockdown is over, the choir will be recording some more hymns for us, and I look forward to including them in future editions of the programme. The words of that hymn were originally an Irish Gaelic poem written in the 8th century to remember and honour the faith of St. Patrick, who lived some 300 years earlier. It's a good choice for today, as it makes a nice link with St. Patrick, whose feast, as the patron saint of Ireland, was celebrated just a few days ago. So, now we know that for the second year, our celebration of Easter will be different, with none of the special church services, walks of witness, and other ways that we usually mark the feast that's at the very heart of the Christian faith, and that we're spending time preparing for during these weeks of Lent. And although this might at first seem disappointing, I'm wondering if it could also make the Easter message even more meaningful. Because the message of Easter, the absolute core of the Christian faith, is that God sent his Son Jesus Christ to live a fully human life, experiencing and understanding all the things that make up our lives, even to accepting an unjust and degrading death on a cross. But that death wasn't the end. Jesus, rising from the dead on the first Easter day, is our invitation to share that same life without end. And it isn't an invitation that stays within the walls of our churches. It's an invitation to all of us, wherever we are. Today, I invite you to listen to some verses taken from the Bible account of Jesus' trial and subsequent death. and let's hear, through first-hand stories, how events from 2,000 years ago still speak to the situations we all recognise and experience today.
For God so loved the world that he gave his only Son. For God so loved the world that he gave his only Son, that whoever believes in him shall not perish, but have everlasting life.
We all experience unfairness in life, and so did Jesus. During the 3 years he travelled around the countryside, he did nothing but good, teaching, healing, and befriending those on the margins of society. But the Jewish authorities were suspicious of him, and the Roman rulers feared he was going to raise an army and seize power. So they decided he must die. And after his arrest, following betrayal by somebody he believed to be a friend, the mockery of an unjust trial followed.
Pilate called together the chief priests, the rulers, and the people, and said to them, "You brought me this man as one who was inciting the people to rebellion. I have examined him in your presence, and have found no basis for your charges against him. Neither has Herod, for he sent him back to us. As you can see, he has done nothing to deserve death. Therefore, I will punish him and then release him." But the whole crowd shouted, "Away with this man! Release Barabbas to us!" Barabbas had been thrown into prison for an insurrection in the city and for murder. Wanting to release Jesus, Pilate appealed to them again, but they kept shouting, "Crucify him! Crucify him!" For the third time he spoke to them. "Why? What crime has this man committed? I have found in him no grounds for the death penalty. Therefore I will have him punished and then release him." But with loud shouts they insistently demanded that he be crucified, and their shouts prevailed. So Pilate decided to grant their demand. He released the man who had been thrown into prison for insurrection and murder, the one they asked for, and surrendered Jesus to their will.
For God so loved the world that he gave his only Son. For God so loved the world that he gave his only Son, that whoever believes in him shall not perish, but have everlasting life.
2 other men, both criminals, were also led out with him to be executed. When they came to the place called the Skull, they crucified him there along with the criminals, one on his right, the other on his left. Jesus said, "Father, forgive them, for they do not know what they are doing."
So I'm playing football with some of the teenagers in a bit of waste ground beside the peace line, when a boy of about 14 comes up to me and says, "I throw bricks over that wall." Well, I've heard it hundreds of times from kids I've been working with. This hatred of the other, this fear of those on the other side of the wall. But this time it's different, because I'm on the other side of the wall. This time it's aimed at me. Welcome to cross-community work. But why, I ask him. Because I hate them. Because they've always hated me. He doesn't understand. I don't think I understood till this moment. The kids on the other side of the wall are just like him. They live in the same type of house. Their parents drive the same car to the same supermarket to buy the same food. Only the colour of the football shirts and the paint on the curbstones betrays which side of the wall you're on. And yet rocks fly between the kids on the 2 sides. Now, for the first time, I see that the peace line is just a mirror. What we see on the other side It's a reflection of our own community, our own hatred. Father, forgive them. They don't know what they're doing.
The people stood watching, and the rulers even sneered at him. They said, "He saved others, let him save himself if he's God's Messiah, the chosen one." The soldiers also came up and mocked him. "If you are the king of the Jews, save yourself." There was a written notice above him which read, "This is the King of the Jews." One of the criminals who hung there hurled insults at him. "Aren't you the Messiah? Save yourself and us." But the other criminal rebuked him. "Don't you fear God," he said, "since you are under the same sentence? We are punished justly, for we are getting what our deeds deserve, but this man has done nothing wrong." Then he said, "Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom." Jesus answered him, "Truly I tell you, today you will be with me in paradise."
You hold on to the things you can hold on to. There's some things they can't take away. Not yet, anyway. And not without a fight. And you've still got your health, as my mother would always say. The children are bearing up well, all things considered. They're too young to understand much. Not that I understand what a global recession is either. I just know it shouldn't be my fault. But it feels like it is. I'm the one without the job. It's got to be my responsibility. No one else will look out for my family. 45 and on the scrap heap. You get fed up doing the rounds. I'm fed up of all the interviews and the rejection, though it's even worse when you don't get an interview in the first place. Don't even so much as get a letter of acknowledgement. So, there's this guy I met today trying to start up a new business, says he may have some work for me if I'm interested. Interested? I nearly bit his hand off. He's, well, let's just say he can be a bit weird, but basically, I think he's fine. He means well, and I think he genuinely wants to do some good. Oh, imagine a job. Money on the table, a chance to hold my head up high for once. I doubt it'll pay much, but maybe there'll be a chance to treat the kids every once in a while. It may not sound like much to you, but to me, paradise.
Near the cross of Jesus stood his mother's sister, Mary the wife of Clopas, and Mary Magdalene. When Jesus saw his mother there and the disciple whom he loved standing nearby, he said to her, "Woman, here is your son." And to the disciple, "Here is your mother." From that time on, this disciple took her into his home.
It's odd how things work out. These days people just assume he's my boy, and I don't bother to put them right anymore. Takes too long to explain. It must be, 5 years? 5 years that John's been around. 5 years since he came home from the war, and my beautiful son came home in a body bag. Friendly fire, they said. I couldn't believe it. Well, how could you? And I'm not sure I would have survived if John hadn't been around. It helped that he'd been there when it happened. He could look me in the eye and assure me that my son had felt no pain. It was over so quickly. I used to wonder if maybe the pair of them had come to some agreement, look after me, mum, if anything happens to me, sort of thing. But John just laughs whenever I suggest it. At first he said he'd just come to visit for a few days to see me right. I told him not to bother. He had his own life to lead. But he insisted. And so a few days became a few weeks, months, years now. Oh, people have talked. You can bet they have. A young lad like that shacked up with the mother of his best friend, and him dead in the ground. They haven't got a clue. Just two people clinging to the wreckage of what life's left them. He's not my son, I could say. I should say. But don't you tell me he's not family.
From noon until 3 in the afternoon, darkness came over all the land. About 3 in the afternoon, Jesus cried out in a loud voice, "Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani," which means, my God, why have you forsaken me?"
So, how are the papers?
Got them here, let's see. OK, the Times says you're reckless, the Guardian says you're feckless, the Mail goes for useless, and the Telegraph goes for, hopeless.
What about the Sun?
No, they're going with Jordan's marriage shock.
Oh.
But you're an idiot on page 4.
It's bad, isn't it?
Well, it's not good, let's put it that way. We could go out and talk about challenges or make a robust defence of our achievements so far sort of thing, but it's just so much spin, they'll smell blood.
They smell it already. Honestly, you make one bad decision and...
But what's more worrying is how the other ministers are taking it.
Eh? What do you mean? They assured me last night.
Here we are. Bob's quoted in The Independent as saying he fully supports you.
Oh, no, he doesn't, does he?
Yeah, you've had it, mate.
But surely, what about Susan? She'll support me. She always has.
I hate to break it to you, but Susan's not saying anything. She's at the dentist. Been there all weekend, apparently. That's some toothache.
So, I'm completely abandoned. All alone.
So it seems.
It's amazing, isn't it? The one time I stand up for what's right, what I truly believe in, and all my friends and colleagues can't wait to forsake me.
Later, knowing that everything had now been finished, and so that Scripture would be fulfilled, Jesus said, "I am thirsty." A jar of wine vinegar was there, so they soaked a sponge in it, put the sponge on a stalk of the hyssop plant, and lifted it to Jesus' lips.
3 weeks now. 3 weeks and not one drink. Not a drop. Honest, Your Honour. Coming home from work last night, there was a woman on the train boasting to me about how she's given up alcohol for Lent and joking about how difficult it is, like she has even half a clue who she's talking to. A functional alcoholic, I think they'd call me. Well, not quite so fully functional anymore, obviously, or I'd still have my driving licence and wouldn't have to listen to Mrs. How Can I Live Without Pinot Grigio in the seat opposite. I'd be safe and warm in my BMW, cruising at 80 miles an hour on the motorway home. For long enough, I held things together pretty well. I thought I had things going very nicely. I was in control. Nice car, nice job, nice wife, nice daughter, and a nice bottle of wine or two when I got home. It seems I may have been kidding myself. Hard to keep the illusion when the car's been crashed and the job's gone, swiftly followed by wife and daughter. I still have the bottles of wine, but they're empty. Oh, the irony. So, a fresh start. 21 days and counting. I'm told that you can learn to live with this thirst. each and every day, accept that you're an alcoholic and that there is no such thing as just one drink. So far, so good. All the same, I'm still thirsty.
When he had received the drink, Jesus said, "It is finished."
I watch you, and I watch you, my love. No mother ever kept vigil over a sleeping child as tenderly as I watch over you. The doctors say you feel no pain, but you can no longer speak. So I must be vigilant. I search your face for any hint, a momentary contraction of your brow, a flicker of discomfort in your eyes, a tightening around your mouth. I am a student, and you are my subject, and I will be tested, but not yet. That will come later. For now, all I focus on is you. They say the last sense to go is hearing. So I hold your hand and smooth your hair and croon over and over, "It's all right. I'm here. I'm right beside you." For hours, or days, or minutes, I don't know, I watch the pulse in your neck. Strong at first, grow fainter, and its pace slow till it's almost imperceptible. An eternity between each beat. I hold my breath to match your breathing. And then, almost without my noticing, you're gone. If I had not been watching you so closely, I would never have seen the light die in your eyes. It ebbed so gently, as if a summer cloud had crossed the sun. I feel a great rush of... what? Relief. Your pain and your suffering are over. It is finished. Now the grief begins.
It was now about noon, and darkness came over the whole land until 3 in the afternoon, for the sun stopped shining, and the curtain of the temple was torn in two. Jesus called out with a loud voice, "Father, into your hands I commit my spirit." When he had said this, he breathed his last.
These ministers just keep getting younger and younger, don't they? That hospital chaplain, for instance, no more than a wee laddie. Still, I'm not complaining. He did a good job. Nice prayer. Held my hand and told me God loves me and that I'll be with him soon. At my age and in my condition, I can't ask for much more than that. I didn't let on that I was a man of the cloth myself, though. Wouldn't want them to think I was giving him marks out of 10, even though I was. Can't help it. So, here we are. It'll soon be morning, maybe an hour or so yet. The way this lot are fussing around me, it may be my last one on earth. Dear God, but I'm tired. Tired and scared. May as well be honest about it now. If death is like sleep, well, that doesn't sound so bad. A good long peaceful sleep sounds pretty good right now, except for the not waking up part. I used to wonder when I was out doing hospital visits myself, can people really choose their time to die? It sounds too much like a Hollywood ending, but is it a case of eventually letting go? I think I know the answer now. 80 years should be enough for anyone, but it's hard not to want a bit more. Hard not to want to see your kids again, to hold on for them, be there for them. I'm tired. When I was younger, I was so sure of heaven. But now, well, I hope. It's all I can do. It's time.
And when Jesus had cried out again in a loud voice, he gave up his spirit. At that moment, the curtain of the temple was torn in two from top to bottom. The earth shook, the rocks split, and the tombs broke open. When the centurion and those with him who were guarding Jesus saw the earthquake and all that had happened, they were terrified and exclaimed, "Surely he was the Son of God."
From heaven you came, helpless babe, entered our world, your glory veiled, not to be served, but to serve, and give your life that we might live. This is our God, the servant King. He calls us now to follow him, to bring our lives as a daily offering of worship to the servant King.
On the programme next week, we'll discover why a week that begins with the joy and excitement of Palm Sunday and ends with a sordid and painful death can possibly be called good and holy. But it is, and it can still change lives today. So do please join me again if you can, as the story of Jesus becomes our story too.
This is our God, the servant King. He calls us now to follow him, to bring our lives as a daily offering of worship to the servant King.
Music is a really important part of this programme, so do please let me know if there's something you'd specially like to hear in future weeks. You can email judithlay@manxradio.com, or you can write to me here at Manx Radio, PO Box 1368, Douglas IM 991SW. And that's all that we have time for this week. This is Judith, praying that you and those you care about will have a peaceful week, knowing that we are all deeply loved. Thank you for listening. I wish you a very good morning.
Manx Radio.